2 minutes past 4 in Libreville, Gabon, and of course, it's 2 minutes past 10 in Columbus, Ohio. This is African Cocktail. And whenever you get this voice at this hour every Wednesday, know that you're listening to your favorite midweek show. Welcome to the 26th episode of your darling show for phase 2 of 2014, which is, of course, the 79th episode since we started the show in May of 2013. Just like we say all the time, African Cocktail is that part of your radio that brings you all the niceties of the beautiful African continent. So how much of Africa do you know? How much of Africa do you eat? How much of Africa do you wear? How much of African entertainment news do you get to savor? And most important, how much of African music do you listen to or dance to? These are the kind of questions we do well to answer just on African Cocktail on Afrikkaradio. African Cocktail is a mixture of the best values of Africa you can ever think of. And in this 79th episode of the show, what is a constitution in a film industry setting? And what is a production code? Which is which? And which one should guide activities within a film industry? Can the constitution conveniently replace the production code and vice versa? Who is qualified to write a constitution of a film industry and who should draft the production code? The understanding of both concepts has been a problem within certain African film circles, and to better educate ourselves on this, African Cocktail has sought the expertise of a filmmaker, Akim Macaulay, who doubles as head of the Constitutional Committee of the Cameroon Film Industry CFI, will be making the necessary clarifications in this episode of the show. Akim, who has been on the show severally, will be speaking from his Maryland base just in this edition of African Cocktail, so don't go away. Now, her dreams of becoming the first ever Cameroonian Miss World were dashed so prematurely into the contest, bringing a long publicized and much talked about participation in this coveted beauty contest to an end. Larissa Ngangum was eliminated in the first phase of the contest that took place in London, the United Kingdom, last week. This least expected failure to grab the crown has reignited the debate of her being elected as the 2014 Miss Cameroon, which some observers still consider to have been unfairly engineered. So, what is the meaning of this to her country, Cameroon? Would the story have been different if it was one of Larissa's contestants? Well, our resource person number 2 in charge of cultural affairs and entertainment, Ken Shalimonet, gives his views on this topic. We will be speaking from Minnesota in this edition of African Cocktail. Also in this edition of African Cocktail, our regular slots, South Connect with Solomon Atta from Johannesburg, and of course Ifana Kwala's The Central African Report from Cameroon. We hear Ifana has traveled to the southwest region of the country, and we hope to have her reporting from that end. Our man in Antwerp, Titus Banyo, is not feeling so well. We want to wish him a very speedy recovery, and we hope that he's going to join us next week in this beautiful midweek show. Meantime, I'm not in this sumptuous 1110 studio of Afrikkaradio, situated at the Moss Road in the northern bed of the city of Columbus alone, with two young and dynamic African ladies who have joined me here in the studio. I'll begin from my extreme right. I have Josephine Schilling, who is one of Liberia's frontline gospel artists in the diaspora. Josephine, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So how are you today?
I'm doing great.
How was your week?
Wonderful.
Wonderful week for Josephine. Josephine, tell me, how is your music doing?
Well, it's not doing bad.
Everything is moving on smoothly.
Yeah, it's kind of slow, but it's getting there.
Right. Okay, we're going to talk more about that as this show unfolds. And next to Josephine, we have Benis Brian Nyama. Nyama, that sounds Cameroonian, but then you're not from Cameroon. So where is the name Nyama coming from?
Thank you. That's a Pella name from Liberia.
From Liberia. From what part of Liberia are you?
Bon County.
Bon County. Is it situated at the north, south, west, or east? South of the country. Right. Okay, so Josephine and Benis, you're also a gospel artist. What kind of gospel do you do? In Africa, we've segmented gospel music. There is Nigerian gospel, there is the contemporary gospel with the hip-hop blend of it, and I mean, there are other types of gospel music. Which is your own?
It's kind of mixed, R&B.
Right.
Yeah.
R&B.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We're going to find out all of that in this episode of African Cocktail, coming to you from Afrikkaradio with Ernest Kanjo, and of course two of his studio guests here in the studio of Afrikkaradio. But we always begin this show by giving thanks to the person who makes it possible for us to come here every Wednesday and present African Cocktail. I'm talking about God the Father Almighty. So wherever you are listening to us at this moment, just bow down your heads so that we take off some time and say thank you, God. It is necessary for us to do so, and we're going to do that with Mabel Boma and Inori Forzo in this one, titled Thank You, Lord.
You are so bad.
I'm grasping on the fight, with the way that
worship you day and night. I give you thanks, Almighty Father, for the good things that He has done.
Thank you, Lord. May your favor locate us. Your favor locate us. May your kindness locate us. Your kindness locate us. May your goodness locate us. Your goodness locate us. May your mercies locate us. Your mercies locate us. May your glory locate us. Your glory locate us. I'm blessed and on the vine with the way that I walk with the love of God. I say, oh Lord, teach me your righteousness. When I call upon your name, you always open up the door for me. I see your light shining in my life. Jesus is my Lord, He kept me in the shining path and brought shame upon my enemies.
Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for everything. We praise your name. We bless your name, Father. We thank you for everything. Lord, we pray that this other episode of African Cocktail would be a blessing to those listening. And we pray that whatever thing is being said on the show today, Lord, it will go a long way to glorify your name and, of course, develop our beautiful African continent. Father, thank you. And we pray that you soak this edition in the precious blood of your Son, Jesus Christ. And through him we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you, Lord. Merci pour ma vie. Thank you, Lord. Merci pour ta gloire. Thank you, Lord. We lift up our voice. We call upon your name. We say, Papa, Papa, thank you, Lord. Just wanna say thank you. Thank you, Lord. Merci pour ta bénédiction. Thank you, Lord.
Merci pour ta bénédiction. We just want to say thank you, Papa. Mabel Buma and Inori Fotso in that beautiful gospel piece there coming to you from Afrikkaradio. Of course, the show is African Cocktail with Ernest Kanjo, and of course two of our studio guests who are already here with us. We have Josephine Shilling and Benis Brian Nyama. They are from Liberia. They do gospel music, and of course they are also actresses. So I just want to say they are artists par excellence. You're going to discover all of that in this episode of African Cocktail. Okay. It's definitely going to be a fantastic one because we have lots and lots of people who will be participating in this episode of the show. When we go to Los Angeles, California, we shall be talking to Nina's Diary producer and director Victor Viu, who has just added a feather on his cap. We know he's been harvesting awards for the past 1 year or so, and this time around we saw Victor in tears, tears of joy. He has to explain that to us in this episode of African Cocktail. Then we shall also make a stopover in Maryland to meet Akim Macaulay, the Constitution Committee head of the Cameroon film industry. He also doubles as the representative of CFI in the diaspora. Akim and I will be talking about the Constitution and the Production Code. What is the difference between these two documents which should guide the film industry? Then we shall also listen to Missy BK, who will be talking from Canada. She will be telling us about her other side, which is philanthropy and of course humanitarian activities. We hear she's at the verge of launching a foundation. Then Ryan Atem is his name. He is a comedian, and he's out this weekend to make people laugh. He's going to tell us more about that in this episode of African Cocktail. Just like Ken Shali Monet, our resource person, will be analyzing a couple of issues here on the show. Ifana Kwala will be talking from Cameroon. Then Solomon Atta from Johannesburg, South Africa. So it's going to be a very huge edition of African Cocktail. Let's begin with music, then we brace to start conversing with our studio guest. His name is Lucien Bokilo, in this one titled La Sapeur, S-A-P-E, Société de l'Ambiance de Personnes Élégantes. Well, I don't know if I'm saying it rightly, but just listen to this beautiful soukous piece by Lucien Bokilo.
La SAP, Société des ambianceurs et des personnes élégantes.
Sapeur.
C'est pour toi, initié du look, que je fréquente ce hymne à l'élégance. Sur ton 31 de nuit comme de jour, chic par ta démarche chaloupée, frame par ton éloquence.
Ça fait depuis ta plus tendre enfance, tu l'es pour toute ta vie. Ça fait depuis ta plus tendre enfance, tu l'es pour toute ta vie.
L'histoire sans fin de ce qui est notre destin. D'abord génération anciens combattants, puis leur vin, des crâneurs, puis ce fut l'instant des lutteurs. Le temps passe encore, les cracks arrivent un beau matin, puis vint le jour de sapeur et griffe, jusqu'au prochain.
Ça fait depuis ta plus tendre enfance, tu l'es pour toute ta vie.
Et nous sommes rentrés dans les années 81 avec le groupe Loketo et à la tête Lucien Bokilo dans cette belle chanson intitulée La Sapeur. We're listening there to beautiful Congolese music of the yesteryears, and that is the Soukous genre. We shall be doing principally Soukous music in this episode of African Cocktail. We're coming back to that because, like I've always said, Congo is to music just like Brazil is to football. Okay. It's exactly 20 minutes past 10, time for us to pause this beautiful one. We'll probably come back to it and start talking with our studio guests, Josephine and Benis. Once again, ladies, you're welcome to the show. So, we are going to begin by knowing more about you, ladies. First, could you just describe your family backgrounds? I'll begin with you, Josephine.
Well, my family, I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa, from Bunkante,
Right.
the Pele tribe. And, well, my mom and my dad had 10 kids, and 3 died. And, you know, we have 7 that's alive. And, well, actually, we're from Bunkante, but then we live in Bensonville, which is the Congo settlement in Liberia, and that's where I was born and raised and stuff like that. Yes.
Now, tell me, when you were growing up in Liberia, how was life at that time?
Well, I grew up mostly like on the farm, so it was tough, you know, getting up like early in the morning to go on the farm, you know, to plant rice or stuff like that, you know. But I mean, it was good because I mostly enjoy like growing up where we used to play like, you know, in the dark when the moon is up and bright and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was good.
Let me find out something. I just want to be curious about this. I've never heard Liberians speak a mother tongue. Do you have mother tongues in Liberia? Like the vernaculars, you know, the African languages?
Like different languages? Yes, we do.
I've never heard any Liberian speaking any of such. Well, nice thing to know that we have mother tongues in Liberia. Let me turn to Benis. Once again, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, tell us, did you grow in Liberia as well?
Yes,
What part of the country?
Bon County.
And could you just explain your family background to us?
You know, just like Josephine was saying, we grew up on the farm. The deep part of Liberia, Bon County.
Right.
My mother and my father are all the same tribe, Pele. So I learned to speak a little more of it, but later on in my lifetime, I kind of moved where they sent me to my auntie in Nimba County. So I started speaking their language, and I kind of a little bit forgot my own language because I stayed so long with her. Yeah, so, but then later on, when I came back, I was in my teen.
Right.
So I started, you know, picking back up because my mom only speak my language. She don't speak English or anything else.
Right.
So I kind of pick up again.
So I understand you are all farmers' children. What kind of farming were your parents doing? Is it subsistence or farming at a larger scale?
Yeah, it's like a skill. This is what their parent was doing, and that's what they pick up from. And before they had us, so we are with them. So we help somehow to, you know, make them do what they were doing, because that's what they know, that's what they were good at.
Right. So, did you have any early exposure to music and, of course, acting, which both of you now find yourselves doing?
Well, I remember when I was a little girl, and my parents used to take us to church, and whenever I tried to sing, they would laugh, and tell me to be quiet. And after church, when we're going home, they would always tell me, like, next time we go to church, don't try singing because you sound so horrible, But within my heart, singing was my passion. It still is.
When they said horrible, what did they mean? Did you have a bad voice or what?
Yes.
Well, that certainly is not a voice I recognize today, because I must confess that Josephine Shilling is a brilliant singer with a very soul-searching voice. Both of you are also writers, and I want us to begin by looking at this aspect of your artistic lives. For how long have you been writing, Bernice?
Well, that book that you see that say Why Me America is my first book, and I'm trying to do the second part. That book was about immigration, my status in America.
Why Me America? This is a 351-page book. When was it written?
It was written 2009. We launched it out 2010.
Right.
Which was the same year I had to be deported back to Liberia.
Now, so you're kind of telling your story in this book.
Yes, exactly so.
So you were an immigrant, you got deported back to Liberia.
Correct.
And that is the story you are recounting in this
Well,
book.
actually, they called it self-deportation, or voluntarily departing from the country.
So why did you decide to move back to Liberia? And what brought you to America in the first place?
Well, I came, not on a scholarship, but my children's father came on a scholarship, and I came over with a visiting visa which expired. And that's where the whole book writing started from.
Now, we're going to come back to this book. It looks very interesting because it looks like it's endorsed by a very popular American writer as well. It's a very voluminous book. We'll come back to that. Let me turn to Josephine. What do you write? Movies or books as well?
Well, actually, I write movie scripts, and this is something new that I just started. And I also write music.
Right. So you write film scripts and music.
Yes.
What inspired you into writing? Why did you decide to get into it?
Okay. Well, there was a guy in Rhode Island, Providence, that invited me. He said he was doing film, and then he asked me to go over there because he had a role for me, and I think it's something that I'm passionate about. So I drove over like 12 hours and went over there just to find out, like, he wasn't even serious, So when I got back, that really motivated me to start to do my own thing.
Right.
Yeah. And then how I got into this whole movie thing was because of Sis Bernice Bryant and her husband. They suggested me to Pass Away Production,
Right.
When he was shooting his film called Men Business Hard in America. And he had a meeting with them in my absence, and they talked to him and said, you need to get Josephine on board.
Right.
So that's how the whole thing started.
And so how many film scripts have you written so far?
Well, I wrote a comedy called Drama in the Kobo Shop, which was shoot and edited by Mr. Stanley Quina and Abigail Quina. They supported it. And I also directed that. That's the first one. And
Right.
the second one I have now is called Unforgettable Wound, which I'm thinking on shooting by the grace of God next year.
Right. Is it completed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Bernice, let me come back to you. When I look at this book, it is very voluminous, and it must have required a lot of ingenuity to be able to put all of this together. Could you just tell us your experience packaging this very sumptuous book I'm holding? Why Me America? Why me?
Well, actually, when my incident happened, which was, from year to year, immigration, every time they have, like TPS, we apply for it and applying for all the other opportunity that come after writing me a deportation letter a few years back. So we take the chance of anything that could come our way to, to get the whole thing resolved.
Right.
But, year in, year out, we kept, doing everything else we could do, that thinking it is the right thing to do. But yet then still, it didn't work out the way we thought it could. And it ended up with me going to jail. And from jail, then come back another 2 years, no work permit, no, nothing I could do, to get me out of the whole situation. And
Right.
finally, my lawyer decided, you know what, you have to just go back home and in order to start over. So that's how I had to go back home and then come back. Now, everything is okay by the grace of God.
So, did you write this book while you were back home or on this transitional period, or you wrote it when you came back?
I wrote it when I was here, just before I left.
Just before
For
you
Liberia,
left.
yes.
But apparently, the book got completed when you came back, or was it
I
published?
completed it. I completed it and we put it out, before I left.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be back with you, ladies. Let's have some music.
La SAP, Société des ambianceurs, fait des personnes élégantes. C'est pour toi, initié du look, que je prédonne ce hymne à l'élégance.
Nous sommes toujours avec Lucienne Bokilo dans La Sapeur, une très très belle chanson qui a fait bouger le style soukous, la musique congolaise. Nous sommes aujourd'hui le 17 décembre 2014. Vous êtes bel et bien branchés sur les ondes de Afrikkaradio avec African Cocktail, avec votre ami de chaque mercredi, Ernest Kanjo. 10:31 by our studio clock. It's exactly 5:31 in Johannesburg, South Africa. And it is in Johannesburg that we have our man Solomon Atta, who is now flanked by two young African ladies ready to tell their stories. Solomon Atta, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ernest, and welcome to the City of Gold. I'm actually smiling. Two gorgeous lady, Linda from Sales Executive for the Reef Hotel. We are sitting at the Reef Hotel, which donated to us a ministry that you can see. I'm some kind of a roving reporter. Last week I worked at another hotel. Anyway, so welcome to you and your listeners to Johannesburg, the City of Gold. Today is 17th of December. It's just gone 5:30, which is 17:30 in Johannesburg. Let me introduce you to two ladies with whom we're going to be chatting about the City of Gold. A lot more exciting things happening about this city, which is in fact contributes 34% of the GDP of this country. So you can imagine the economic might. This is the heartbeat of the commerce of the country. Welcome to Afrikkaradio, Lulu King. Thanks very much for having me. Welcome to Afrikkaradio, Linda Fox. Thank you for having me here. Linda Fox is the sales executive for a Reef Hotel, and she also works in the inbound tourism environment, while Lulu King is a business coach. She knows a lot about starting small businesses. Today we're going to be talking about the City of Gold. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let me start with you, Lily. What are your thoughts about Johannesburg, the City of Gold? What does it represent to you?
Well, exactly that, Solomon. Johannesburg has always been the city of gold for the people throughout Africa. Obviously, it's being founded off the back of the mine. It has a very, very literal background. But what's fantastic for me is how the energy and the pulse and the heartbeat of the economic center of the continent has not died. and it's reinvented itself as possibly the city of customs over the next few years.
Linda, let me give you a first thought. What does the city of gold, Johannesburg, represent? I mean, you're a pure Joburg girl at the camp.
Yes, I've lived here my whole life. Quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I've just seen it go through all these phases, the ups and downs, the bad, etc. And to see this awesome regeneration is so exciting. That as a Joburg girl, you can't help feeling excited that this is all happening around you, and the city that you love and you've lived in all your life is coming back to us.
And it's kind of watched it gone through its various phases, and now what is this new phase, the way you kind of talk about what does it represent?
For me, it's a whole new opportunity. I mean, working in travel and tourism, an inbound environment. We spend so much time selling other parts of South Africa, and now Johannesburg is now a place to go. So for someone who works in travel and tourism, having your own city coming up as this amazing new life form is just so fun.
Okay, Lulu, I think that you live in the city, you work in the city. The city is you.
The city is me, and I hopefully am becoming a part of the city. Solomon, I wanted to come to a very, very small coastal town, and we were ingrained with the spirit of community growing up. To see Joburg as a big city, also embodying the same kind of beyond, that makes it such a natural melting pot for so many people and citizens of Africa and wherever in the world. I haven't seen as integrated a society that functions as well commercially as Joburg in a very long time.
In fact, just along those four sides, there's this view that Johannesburg is some kind of center of culture in Africa. Is that right? Because I think the guys in Nairobi or Lagos are going to really help you to keep that kind of a game.
Well, I wouldn't say it is the epitome of it, but what I would say is that it doesn't matter where you come from in the world. You have the warmth of South African hospitality as well as the strength of the commercial vibrance, which is incredibly important. But no matter where you go, where you're from, Joburg is home.
Linda, when I made some comments earlier on, and I said that you see the province of Gauteng, well, everyone calls it Joburg anyway. The province is like something in a different place. Anyway, so the province of Gauteng contributes 34% of the GDP, a little bit more than that, and which means commerce is like in the heart of the city. How does that commercial might contribute to, especially the work that you do?
We already been getting business people. They've never gone away from Johannesburg. Because people would just come here for business and do their business and then go away. So the regeneration of Johannesburg is potential opportunities where people end up staying.
Okay.
And it creates more investment. Where people actually stay and they think, wow, this is happening and I can spend more time here and I'm going to stay here and spend my money here. So it creates more opportunities and it creates more interest. So you're going to get people coming here and investing their money.
So again, look, I know that in several parts of the world, there is, what are some of the new things that people see about Johannesburg, especially the fact that they have the tallest building in Africa?
Well,
like some kind of icons. What are your favorite icons of the city? I know that Mandela Bridge is a very new one. What are the other icons that tells you that this is the city of gold?
Things that really stand out for me is seeing some of the founding flags in the country still staying here. So they were founded here, they never left. Massive, iconic, beautiful buildings with amazing architecture. And so I'm in love with the architecture of the city. What I really, really, really enjoying, because I'm such a fanatic about this cultural melting pot idea, is to see some of the newer developments. We were speaking about it earlier on. New little peri-urban areas like Maboneng are coming up, which are creative, have lots of galleries, lots of fashion, lots of food. It's just
the food is awesome.
The food is amazing. You can do 100 countries on one road, and it's amazing.
Let me ask Linda this. Linda, look, I know that you've had several introductions, so I understand that you have several interactions with the city, with various aspects of the city life. What are some of your cultural hubs when it comes to the ones that are not like on everyone's radar? I know Lulu's already spoken about Maboneng. What are the other cultural hubs in the city?
in the cities, it's almost like we're all the little enclaves that's coming up. We've got like your new town, which is still developing. They're still busy building it up. Very excited about it.
Yeah, the new mall is coming up.
The new mall, there's new, and they're building little walkways to link it to the square. That's going to be very exciting. The Museum Africa is right there, so that's going to be another awesome centre. Bromston, of course, is very young and vibrant. We also have the market there on Saturday morning.
All the educational centres.
And you've got the museum right there, and you can walk around. You've got jazz clubs, you've got just walking around.
Talk to me about the neighborhood goods market. I mean, like, what is that about?
You know, I think neighborhood goods was probably one of the best things that happens to the cities. It's just like what the market in. Suddenly it creates interest from an entirely different like group of the population.
Because it's different kind of relative,
So people that would not have come to the city in years suddenly came to the city. Because now we had a good come together. and on a Saturday morning, which was fantastic.
Lolo, you spoke earlier on before we came on air about things like sections of our population like the millennials. Who are these guys?
Well, I like to call them the gazillionaires because I suspect it's a little bit more civilians. I mean, we've got this is a mining town, so we've got the stalwarts of the economy that are always going here. Yeah. It's not the political center of our country. So
the ANC has its HQ right here.
But for sure is still our capital. So it's interesting that there's so much commercially going down here. So this is where money really moves fast. So it's become a huge hunting ground for investors. People are able to buy buildings instead of offices at really great commercial rates. But there's a massive amount of traffic and trade that's happening. And that's the key to any successful economy. Traffic and trade, and everybody's speaking the same language. And that happens to be money. So,
okay, look, I know that when you go like to the Central Library, you also see how for the millennials, the skateboarding, they do all sorts of things, and the library things like renovated and refurbished and all sorts of things, which come to be the very big heart of educational center of knowledge in the city.
And that library's been there for very long. Forever. Strange to say it's the beginning of Johannesburg, but I can't be correct. But it's really been there forever. And to see them fixing up the garden, turning it back into space, you can actually go and read a book. You can go to the library, go and sit in the garden, and then there's people, they keep skateboarding. And it's if you actually feel like you're somewhere in London, or you can go into a gallery and go and sit in a park and get a sandwich and wander around. And this was in the Joburg CBD, which was a place that you didn't go. And now you can just walk around and sort of have a coffee at a pavement cafe. And it's just changing the whole feeling about Johannesburg. Whereas before maybe it was an isolation, everybody stuck up to their own areas and was maybe afraid to go to certain parts of things, and actually bringing people together.
Let's not talk about something that's very important to that I know in terms of your sector of work, hotels. There have been new hotels happening in the city. All I know there's more people are looking for more places to stay.
Yes. Okay. And I think Johannesburg was always a businessman's place. So the hotels before were always very much focused on business and conferences and very much the commerce side of it. And there are tour groups coming here now. There are people actually staying more than half a day in Johannesburg and having a look at the museum, looking at the art, going around.
And some of the museums that I've been to be owned by youngsters. I mean, like literally like good on the, maybe say on the city, and even some creators like taking a lot of interest in the public art.
And even like individual artists, lots of them, but they see it, like you were saying, there was but it's quite much cheaper to get space there. So it's also attracted a lot of young artists. So you can get yourself a studio in Joburg CBD much cheaper than you would elsewhere in Johannesburg. And they're beautiful spaces. Go back to your question around the millennial scholars. What we found is that such a huge contributing factor to Joburg coming alive is that the change is actually being made by young entrepreneurs. So this is where artists come to turn their art into a business. But this is also where people come to be cool.
Wow, I like the being cool bit.
Exactly the answer. I mean, the millennials have always set out to look for purpose and to figure out why they were born. And this is a place that gives them opportunity to be anybody they
can. To serve, define, serve a search, serve program. Okay, we're going to come into land. I wasn't just thinking while I'm driving about in the city that there are red buses. Who are these guys?
Yes, the red buses are fantastic.
Okay.
I mean,
I almost thought I was.
Yes. When they do go past, you do have a kind of moment like, oh my gosh. Okay, but that is also like the number of people from the suburbs that have been here for years it's almost like creating a safe environment that you can come and have a look at the CBD. Oh, and then they can actually see there are things that are going on and there are things that are happening. So it's getting population back into the CBD. And it's definitely creating a vibe of like, well, creating a circle to bring those people in who would not normally come, who wouldn't want to bring their cars into CBD historically. Now they can catch a red bus from Rosebank or Park Station and come and have a look at the city and from what would be a safe environment. And then they feel safer coming back the next time. So now they can see how nice it is.
The city's population is increased. I learned that in terms of the past 5 years, in fact, after the World Cup, the city's population is going to be growing up. As you come into London, what are your thoughts for the city of gold?
Well, to be honest with you, Solomon, I really hope that we continue to embody the spirit of empowerment that the City of Gold has given each person. The people who came here to look for jobs found work instead. And it's a huge, huge difference because you can actually do anything here. So I hope it continues to be the city of possibilities. We're definitely looking for more urban renewal and the introduction of some of the urban farms and rooftop farms throughout the city has been fantastic. And you can't go wrong if you continue to evolve. So.
Fantastic. What are your thoughts as you look at 2014 draws to close? You've been interacting in the city throughout the whole year. What are your hopes for 2015 for the city of gold?
Well, my hope working in the travel industry is to have more international tourists here. Just going back to the 2010 World Cup, one of the most amazing things for me was to go into restaurants, houses, etc., and have everybody speaking different languages. You'd hear Americans, all here, and that would be my personal thought over to have more of that. Where when you're just seeing international people coming here and choosing to spend their money and their time and interest in Johannesburg.
It is fantastic speaking to you. How can we get hold of you?
Solomon, you can get hold of me on our company website. That's rekopane.biz, REKOPANE.BIZ, or you can get me on Facebook. My name is Ricky.
Thank you, King, and I hope that you have a next run in 2015 when we will see where the things are. And Linda, how can we get it for you?
The research house on Anderson Street, the Doctor 6 Street, enjoy CBD. This is where we are. Come and find us. Come and enjoy lunch or dinner with us, and come and check it out.
Are you guys having Christmas lunch?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, and then there you have it. Unless you have a question, this is Solomon at Johannesburg. I have been speaking to Lily King and Linda Fox, both of them enthusiasts of the City of Gold.
Solomon and the two enthusiasts of the City of Gold out there in Johannesburg. Beautiful city and of course beautiful conversation. This is African Cocktail number 79 coming to you from Afrikkaradio. Let's get some music. Then we'll be right back with our studio guests.
Oh, lele, oh, la, la, oh, Teresa, oh, lele, oh, la, la, oh, Teresa,
Et c'est toujours le groupe Loketo avec Dali Kimoko à la tête. It's a beautiful one titled Folie d'amour, and it's coming to you from Afrikkaradio. And of course the show is African Cocktail with Ernest Kanjo. This day December the 17th 2014. We're going to make stopovers in this episode of the show. We shall be going to Cameroon to meet Ifana Kwalaro, and of course Maryland to meet Ryan Akim Macaulay, to California where Victor Vio is on standby, then to Canada where we shall have BC PK African Cocktail special edition because we have special people. Okay, we're going to pause this one, definitely coming back to it in a short while. Now we have to come back to our studio, Josephine and Benice. Okay, Benice, I'll begin with you this time. When I look at the cover of Why Me America, Why Me, I see your photograph, I see American skyscrapers, the Statue of Liberty, and of course the African map at the background. Is there any significance? Can you explain this cover to us?
Well, the reason I made the back of the book like that is that I'm trapped in between two worlds or two countries.
Right.
You know, I can't stay in my country and I can't
Stay in America.
Yeah, I can stay in America. So I just had to make the cover that way. I'm in two worlds.
Right. So how has America reacted to this book?
Well, most people that read the book at the time, when my situation happened, and the newspaper in Columbus Dispatch, carried that story for almost 3 weeks. And before I came up to write this story, one of the lady that read my story, it touched her, and that's why she kind of encouraged me to write that book.
Right.
And a lot of people, even some churches that we went, to launch out the book, there were a lot of people that read the book and they called me back, to tell me that it is just a sad story, that America should be a country, for everybody, but at certain time they just want to pick on somebody to say you have to leave. And my husband and I have been in this country for years, and we do driving, we teach driving, for kids and also adults. So we have been doing that for years. And sometimes some of the ladies that read the book, they will come and, talk to me and say, but I mean, you guys are good citizens. By now you should be citizens of America. So why are they picking on you? I say, I don't know. Sometimes I just answer, I don't know. But we're doing our best. I mean, it's just for the paper so far. But we have proved to them that we are good citizens. But, they had to go by their paperwork. So that's why.
So did you say you have other books apart from this one?
No, that's the only book, but I'm getting ready to do part 2, because some people want to know whether I came back or I'm still in Africa, or what's going on with me.
We are anxiously waiting for part 2 of Why Me, America, Why Me. Josephine, let me turn back to you. This time I want to know more about Josephine, the actress. So, what kind of acting do you do? Stage drama or movie acting?
Movie, and I've been corporate drama.
And what motivated you into this art?
Well, like I said before, my motivation is, the situation I found myself in like a couple of years back with that guy, after he did that to me. And I had just bought my car too and put all that mileage on my car to drive all the way to Providence, just not to be, in a movie or anything. So when I came back, that kind of made me to say, you know what, I can do this, and I will do it to let people know, what I can do.
Right.
And then Mr. and Mrs. Bryan also, motivated me. Some ways.
Give God the glory.
Right. So, which are the movies in which you featured so far?
Well, Man Business High in America is my first one. And there's another one that I was in. It's called American Drama, which is not out yet. And I think that's it so far. And then just recently, a guy contacted me and he wanted me to be an executive producer for a movie he's about to do next year, and he also wanted me to be part of that. And it's called well, I forgot the name, but next time.
Okay. Now, tell me, you have sat down and watched what you've done so far on the screen. Especially the movie you just launched a couple of weeks ago. So when you see what you do, how would you assess yourself? Would you say you are satisfied with your performance as an actress so far?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm satisfied with what I saw so far. It's just like I watched the movie, and then I kind of look at my mistakes, and and I'm learning from it. So the next one is going to be more better. My performance is going to be more better than the first one.
Right. And so far, what has been your most memorable moments in your acting life? Something you would like to remember all the time? Is it Man Business High in America?
Well, I mean, this being like the first one, and I can't really answer that right now. Maybe after a couple of,
right,
movies, then I'll be able to have a memorable moment. But right now, I don't have any.
Bernice, do you also act?
Yes, I do. I acted in the same movie, Man Business High in America.
And for how long have you been acting?
That was my first movie. We do little short film, but that was my only movie so far.
And did you like it when you performed in this movie you're talking about? And did it spur you to want to continue, acting?
Oh yes, I mean, if you can write, you should be able to do some acting also. So I kind of like that, and I hope some more acting will come my way. And I'm willing to do anything that I can do, to help somebody somewhere, or just encourage somebody, or just entertain somebody.
Josephine, you have your African sisters in Nigeria who have taken up acting as a career, and they're doing really good. Do you have such ambitions, like taking this acting of, this acting of yours to some, very high level?
Yes, I do.
So you are quite ambitious.
Yes, I am. That's why, I'm doing my own thing. It's like I'm trying to market myself out there, because for people out there to see you, you have to have something out there that is encouraging and, like make people want to see more of you. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Now, does the fact that the Liberian film industry is not very advanced, like is the case in Ghana, Nigeria, kind of discourage you? Do you think you can get there when you are from Liberia?
Yes, I mean, that's one of the things that is always like on the back of my mind, that if I'm successful in this acting, or if, I make it like big time, as we'll call it, I want to go back home, because I know Liberia have talent.
Right.
There are so many talented young men and women in Liberia, but they don't have the finance, the connection, and stuff. So once I make it, I want to try and do that.
Okay, she's quite ambitious. Her name is Josephine Schilling, multi-talented. She sings, she acts, she writes. And what of you? She's accompanied here by Bernice Breyer, an author par excellence. I have a copy of Why Me America, Why Me Here With Me. It should be a brilliant piece of writing. Let's listen to some music then. We'll be right back.
Oh, lele, oh, la, la. Oh, Teresa, vamos al amor. Oh, lele, oh, la, la. Oh, Teresa, vamos al amor.
Item will be telling us about a comedy show that takes place in MD this weekend. And we shall also be listening to Victor VU and his latest feather on his Film Cab. And of course, Akim Makole is standing by, Ken Shalimonette, and lots of other interesting items in this episode of African Cocktail. But then we see have beautiful music coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Locato in that beautiful one titled Folie d'amour. Meantime, I want to say good afternoon to you. Paul Funi Nyamgene is listening to us from Victoria, the seaside resort in Cameroon, West Africa. Did I say West Africa? I keep saying West Africa, but then it's Central Africa. Okay, good afternoon to you too. Takon Delvis listening to us from Bamenda, Cameroon. Okay, he's been a household name for quite some time now, thanks to Nina's Diary. Nina's Diary is a Cameroonian production that has covered a great distance, won over 32 awards in just a couple of months. Big success story. And a couple of days back, we had the director of this movie, Victor Viu, mounting the stage again to pick up one of those coveted trophies. And he's going to tell us more about that in this episode of African Cocktail Ants from his Los Angeles-based California. Victor now comes on the air. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So, how are you today, Victor?
I'm great. Can't complain.
Now, Victor, in a rare occasion, we found you shedding tears, and I would imagine there were tears of joy. What happened this time?
Oh, it was another award show. I mean, in fact, even when we don't win award, I still shed tears because I can't believe the amazing journey that we've had. I mean, after a couple of years on the festival circuit, the film, people are still requesting. Festivals are still requesting to watch the film, and the turnout is still great, and the response from audiences is it's always wonderful. So I'm always moved, when people show appreciation for the work.
Right. Now, this time around, I saw non-Africans hailing Victor Viu and, of course, Nina's Diary. Now, tell me, how do you feel when people who are not from your own continent of origin give you that kind of appreciation?
Oh, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. It's a very fulfilling feeling, just because when, as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, you want to reach audiences. You don't just want to reach only people who are like you. You want to reach human beings all over the world. So when people identify with your story and when they connect to it, you feel that okay, you did a good job, right? You did something right. So you connected with human beings on a character, on an emotional level, which is very important in storytelling.
Now, Victor, I don't want to imagine that everybody is getting into this Nina's Diary frenzy simply because the film has been winning awards and people think that they simply have to identify with it. I want to think that there is something they've been telling you that actually makes them like this movie. What is it?
Also, different people is different things. The great thing about the way the film has been is that it's kind of a sleeper, because many of the festivals where the film play or in many of the screenings, people don't really know much about the film. So they come in and they're very surprised. They come in expecting one thing, and when they watch the film, they're like, I think they're pleasantly surprised at how it goes. For one thing, I think one of the main things that people connect and identify with is the struggle of the lead character, a human spirit. That moves people, all cultures. Everybody can look in, can see in her, can see themselves in her.
Now, we also hear Nina's Diary will be premiered for the first time in Cameroon in March of 2015. It has taken long for this decision to be taken, Victor. What motivated it this time?
You said it, time. It has really taken a long time, and we feel that the time is right. We need people in Cameroon to see the film. We need to show it, to our own people, because so far it has played on almost every continent, and audiences have seen it. Yet Cameroonians haven't seen it. So I think it's important that they see it. Otherwise, they keep hearing about this Cameroonian movie that people are talking about around the world, but they don't know anything about it. So we just felt that we should do it now, and then we can move from there.
And how exactly is it going to happen? In which towns will the film be projected?
Well, right now we're scheduled to premiere. The grand premiere will be March 14th in Yaoundé, and then there will be another launch in Douala March 21st, and one more in Boya March 28th. The idea is that we would love to do a screening at least in Bamenda and Gaoundéré, and hopefully take it to all the regions. Now we just need to see how those first 3 screenings go, and then we'll program the rest of it.
But imagine that screening Nina's Diary in Cameroon is supposed to be a big event, Victor. Is it just your team that is mobilizing to have this event happen, or you have support from other people, partners, and why not the government?
Unfortunately, it's just my team. That's one of the reasons that it has actually taken us this long. We haven't had support, and people might be surprised to hear, but we haven't had support. I'm hoping that we do get that people jump on the bandwagon as we're going, because if we're just waiting for support from individuals or from the government, we might never get a chance to premiere to show the film in Cameroon.
Right.
So taking it upon ourselves that this is an important thing, just like it was an important thing to make the movie. It's an important thing for people to see the movie. That's why the team is just embarking on this mission, and then we're hoping that people will support us as we go.
Right. Now, Victor, apart from being where you grew up, I would imagine that the village of Sabga has had a very tremendous impact in your life as far as the success of this production is concerned. Do you intend to take this film and project it to the people of that little village that has been skyrocketed to where we have you and this movie today?
Absolutely. I mean, there will be, right now, I didn't mention it when you asked the question of where we'll screen it. It has to show, we have to screen it in Sabga. And my idea is to screen it at night in an open field, because we don't have big halls, The idea is just put up a screen, connect, connect audio, and connect the projector, and just screen it outdoors with people sitting on chairs and on grass and watching it. That's the idea, that's the plan right now, so that we don't have to pay too much, but then as many people as possible get to see it in the village.
Let me come back to this question. Nina's Diary seems to have taken a lot of your time, Victor. Are you on some other thing now?
Yes, I am. I'm on a project, called 50/50. It's also known as Njangi. And that project, we have a producer, a French producer on board, and we found a little bit of money in Europe, but we need some money from Cameroon because it's a co-production, and that has been, what's been holding us back. If I had some money in Cameroon, then we would be able to go ahead and move ahead and shoot. Everything is in place. The script has been in place for a long time, and we have ideas of who we want to cast. But a little bit of financing right now is what's holding us back.
Now, Victor, we can't let you go without getting your voice in a topic we lined up for the show today. We're talking about what a constitution means in a film industry setting and what a production code means. There's been this confusion. People don't know what a production code really means and what a constitution within a film setting means. So, what is the difference between these two? Which one should actually be a guideline document for a film industry? Is it a constitution or a production code?
Oh, I understand the constitution and the production code, actually they're quite different things. The production code would be, to me, what would govern production, the shoot, what would govern how sets are run, that protocol on set, and how projects are put together. That's what I understand the production code to be. And then the constitution, to me, appears to be more of they can have a constitution on how that organization runs. But I believe that a production code should really address how production is run, because that's actually very, very important, in any industry. We need to know what are the safety protocols. We need to know what are the protocols on how to sign contracts and how to make payments. We need to know what happens on the set, who can speak to whom, and we need to know about plagiarism. What can be done and what cannot be done. Things like that, I think, fall under production. What happens in the production code.
Right.
Again, that's my 2 cents. I'm listening and watching the conversation. And trying to see where it goes.
Victor, you are closer to Hollywood, the world's #1 film industry. What obtains there?
Sorry, I need a picture.
Now, I say you are close to Hollywood, which is the world's #1. So, what obtains in Hollywood? What does Hollywood use?
Oh, there's a production code. The thing with the production code is that, there are things that on the set, there are protocols. There are things that, govern how sets are run. So those are the production code. And then constitution, I would imagine constitution would be things that, like the Screen Actors Guild would have, the Producers Guild would have, the Directors Guild would have. They would have their typical, their constitution. But their guild, it doesn't mean that what works for the Screen Actors Guild is what, the Directors Guild will use. But the thing is, when all of them are on set, there is the code of protocol that they follow on set. Yeah.
Victor, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of African Cocktail.
Thank you for having me on.
We hope to have you some other time, and do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in CA, California. This is African Cocktail number 79. Let's listen to some music. Then we'll be right back. Past 11 here in the studio of Afrikkaradio. We're doing Suku's Ride on this show today, regurgitating this genre of music that made Congo proud in the years. And of course, one other thing that makes us proud is the offshoot of young Africans in the diaspora who make the entertainment industry tick in the art they know best: music, crafts, fashion. And what a few, then we have 2 of them here in the studio. They excel in writing, they excel in singing, and of course in acting. Josephine Chilling, and of course Nyama Benis. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me come back to you on this book, Benis. Why Me, America? Why Me? That is the title. So why the title?
Well, the reason I picked that title is that, there are so many other, immigrants in America that have not even, they have tried their best to have legal status,
right.
But the immigration system is so slow, and again, there's so much, I don't know how to describe it. It's crazy. But to try your best in a foreign country is not an easy thing. So we just, doing the best we can to get everything right, but it just kind of really slow, and again, it's just, like I say, kind of crazy. You can't understand it.
Right.
But for that title, it just to say that if all these things going on, a lot of people are not, status are not straightened out. And I just picked that title, just like that. And I said, then why me? Because there are other people who have also stayed in this country so long,
Right.
they still can't get their titles together.
When I look at this book, Josephine, it is so brilliantly packaged, and I would want to say this is a blessing, and I know you are a committed Christian. Don't you think all of what happened to you would have been a disappointment that turned out to be a blessing? Because if you didn't go through that ordeal, probably you wouldn't have had what you presented to us today.
Exactly. So now that I realize why me wasn't really the best title, but again, I would say, why not me? Why not me? Because at the time we were going through that, it was just too much. I go on, they have, rating me and say, look, we giving you your document. And I went, did fingerprint, everything else that I needed to do. I went and did it downtown. And then they said, well, you can come and get your green card. We accept you get your green card. And I gone down there, and they arrested me, saying because we wrote you a deportation letter since 1985. And it was just like a big old bomb dropped on me, and it was horrible. They arrested me, take me to, not even around the Columbus area, they took me to Kentucky, which is another 3 hours drive from here, and visiting time was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So my family had to leave from here like maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, get on their way through the traffic, go there for just 15 minutes to visit with me. And I stayed there for about 3 months. And I just crying my eyeballs out, because stuff like that had never happened to me before. Going to jail was something I was thinking about in my lifetime.
Now, this ordeal has been told in a book, and today you are a gospel artist. Have you also translated it into songs?
Yeah, I have one of the songs that said, the woman with the issue. I kind of felt like I'm the woman with the issue, that the issue could not go away. I went from lawyer to lawyer, and it still could not be solved until what happened happened.
And this takes us to our next phase of this conversation, music. Both of you are musicians. Josephine, for how long have you been singing? And why did you decide to get into music?
Well, I came to America 2002, and I wasn't really involved into church, back then, until about 2006, when I started going to church, and I got in the praise team, and I just started singing, and I became more bold and stuff, and it was 2011, Annie, there was a lady called Sange Goba. She called me because I went to Mr. Passoway's studio, and I was just playing around, and he put a beat on, and I recorded a song on there, but I wasn't taking it serious. So I guess she went behind me, and she heard the song. So she called me. I remember that day when she called me, I was driving down Broad Street.
Right.
And she was like, Josephine, you got a good voice. You need to go in the studio and record. And I laughed. And I was like, singing is not for everybody, She was like, I'm telling you, try to do something. And that's how I started. In 2012, I came up with the album, God is an Able God, yes.
8-track album, God is an Able Song. How many songs have you written so far? I see 8 here. Do you have more?
Oh, well, it's actually 7 on the album.
Okay,
The 8th is an instrumental, yes.
Right. Okay.
And right now I'm working on my second album. Yes.
Okay. And when you sing, what kind of themes do you exploit in your songs?
Well, most of my songs that I wrote is actually something that I have experience, you know. It's actually like, you know, like some are like testimony and some are like stuff that I went through and God was able to, you know, help me out.
Right.
You know, like God is an able God. When I wrote that song, I was going through, you know, some situation in my life, you know, and God like show up and he helped me out, you know. So I came up with that song, God is an able God. No matter what you're going through, you know,
Right.
God is able to deliver you from that.
Bernice, when did you get into singing?
Well, so far I've been singing all my life, but not professionally. I've been singing as a little girl in, you know, churches that I visit. I joined the choir. Even in my junior high school time, I joined the choir of the school. And I just been singing. Every church I go to, I join the choir and I try to sing. But since this thing happened and I went back home, my nieces and nephew kind of encouraged me, because as I write my story, you know, as I write, and I decided when I listen to the radio, I hearing some young artists singing songs and other stuff. I'm like, okay, let me put my writing talent one side and start writing songs.
Right.
So I just started writing a song, and before I came, I decided I have to go in the studio and sing this song, because I had help there, and it was much cheaper to do a song there. So I wrote my first song. I had my first album from Liberia.
So how many albums do you have?
I have two.
2 albums.
So
Okay.
actually it's one single and also one album.
Now, before I move to the next question, Josephine, I would like you to, unfortunately we can't have the songs played on radio today because of some technical reasons, but I think I'd like you to do me a cappella before we move to the next question. Well, we'll come back to that. It looks like we have a caller on the line. Let's have some music, then we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to pause that song by Luciana Mubulu. Time for us to move back to our studio guest Josephine, who is ready to give us a piece of her voice. And Josephine, I said, Take Your Place is my favorite song in this album. I would like you to just do an a cappella of it, then we'll talk about it thereafter.
Take your place, Jehovah. Take your place, Jehovah. Take your place, Jehovah. Lord, you deserve a place in my life. Take your place, Jehovah. Take your place, Jehovah. Take your place, Jehovah. Lord, you deserve a place in my life.
In French, we simply say sans commentaire, no comment. But now, what are you saying in this song?
Take your place. Well, I'm simply asking God to take his place in my life, you know, in everything I do. I want him to take his place, you know, with my children, my job, marriage. You know, I just want God to have his way. Let him just take his place and just do whatever he want to do in my life. Although I'm not married, though.
Another track in this album is Come and See. What are you inviting people to come and see?
Come and see what God has done in my life. You know, like I said, when I was growing up, and my, you know, family, siblings used to laugh at me when I tried to sing. And now I'm able to do an album, and people love my song, and people come to me, you know, to tell me, oh, you got a beautiful voice. So that's something that I want people to come and see. It's like a testimony, like God have changed some things about me, and I want people to come and see.
Right. Now, Bernice, Mama Liberia, tell us more about it.
Mama Liberia, I wrote and sang that song for the Ebola crisis that were going on or is still going on in Liberia.
Right.
So I just decided that I wanted to make some contribution about what was going on, and because of how, our country is so kind of, let's say, poor, we don't have it, and with people, our people dying, right after war, we already had enough people that died during the war. We don't need a disease to kill them again, those who survive. So it was kind of really bad that, things like that were going on, and we are out here and nothing much we can do. We did some fundraising and other stuff, to help them out. But as an artist, you just want to do your part. So I kind of just put that song together.
Right.
And I sent it out there for them to listen to it, to know that, we are with them and our prayers are with them also.
Then I believe it's another song in this album.
Yes.
So
yes.
What do you mean here?
Well, that's just another song that I also put together, but it's not merely for Liberia. It's just a general song for everybody to be inspired with.
Right. Okay, we'll come back to you, ladies. Time for us to listen to some music. Then we'll see where to go next, probably to Maryland. So some of the finest young African comedians in the diaspora converge on Maryland this weekend to sell their talent to the public in what has been conveniently captioned Christmas show, African Princes of Comedy. Then Ryan Adam, Cameroonian comedian, will be telling us about that right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail. Don't go away. So the African Princes of Comedy are ready to make you laugh this Saturday in Maryland, December the 20th. And of course, it will be in a beautifully packaged Christmas gift to you out there. So, like I said, we have someone who will be giving us details just right ahead in this episode of African Cocktail. Don't go away. Meantime, in a couple of minutes here, we shall open the door to our main topic in this episode of African Cocktail. What is a constitution as far as a film setting is concerned, and what is a production code? Who's qualified to write the constitution and who can draft the production code? Then, which one is which? which one should be a governing document for the film industry? Is it a constitution or a production code? These questions will be answered just right ahead in this episode of African Copy. But for now, listen to this beautiful one titled Latis Abenzua by Luciana Mubulu. We are still in the Democratic Republic of Congo and you listen to African Copy on number 79, coming to you from Afrikkaradio with Ernest Kanjo. Okay, after that beautiful one by Luciana Mubulu, we now listening to Dali Kimoko and Sukustar in another beautiful Sukus piece. But then we shall not be getting this one in its entirety, at least for now, because we have Rian Adam, Cameroonian comedian, who is already on the line, and we'll be talking about the African Princess of Comedy show that takes place this weekend in Maryland. Rian, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing as you are doing. So, how is Maryland today?
Maryland is good. The weather is a little bit better today, not the other time too cold.
Too cold, I can imagine. And when it gets too cold, does that affect you in any way, Ryan?
No, it does not really affect me right now. I think it affects those that are married, you know, kind of weather is good for them.
Okay. So, Rian, over a dozen African comedians based in the United States will this Saturday converge on Maryland and will be staging what they have described as the Christmas show, African Princess of Comedy. First,
Correct.
whose concept is this?
Oh, the concept is from the African comedians, a group known as the Taos, led by Foxy P, very talented African comedian. So they came up with the concept and decided to bring together their fellow brother comedians who have based in the diaspora.
And so you were one of those who was gotten on board.
Yeah, I was one of those that was got on board.
And so will the pieces which you will be performing at these events revolve around Christmas, or you will just be doing the ordinary ones which you are known to perform most of the times?
Now, it will just be the ordinary ones I'm known to perform, but this time more spicy, because this is the Christmas time and we want to give the best to our Christmas people.
And so, tell me, who are you expecting at these events? Adults, kids? Just tell me.
I'm expecting everyone. As far as you can hear, you can understand, you can see. That is good for me. And you can grab your ticket.
Right. And we have 3 days to these events. Just how prepared is Rian?
Actually, from the first day I was told about the event by OCP, I was already preparing my mind and physically in every way. And right now, with my crew, Legacy, and a new character known as Mami Bamenda, we are 100% prepared for this event.
Right. So you are set to the letter.
Yes, we are very, very set, sir.
So are you going to make any special promises to those who will be attending the show? When they come there, what are they going to see?
They are going to see something which they have never seen before, because just as the earlier said, a lot of comedians are going to be there, and the way all of us, we are really, really prepared, is something that is just to come and see and witness. And again, this is going to be my last performance for the year, so I'm like so much prepared, just like I, the other comedians are really prepared to give the best to the audience that are coming.
Now, Rian, tell me, not much is heard about African comedians in the diaspora, and this is one of the rare events where you come together and perform. What is your relationship with the other comedians of African descent living here in the diaspora?
That's a very good question, sir. Actually, like, we have a lot of comedians in the diaspora, but the one we have not heard about them because we lack sponsor, people that can really step up, like you see, like how they do that in music. But we have people that can really step up in order to push things up for the comedian, because laughter is a medicine for the soul, and we thank God for our brother Foxy P and the child. They came up together to put up such a great event like this, and spending their own money to do something like this for the audience. I have a good relationship with quite some few of the comedians that will be coming, because I've met with them once, and some of them I haven't yet met with them, but I'm following them on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram.
Now, you just said one of the major difficulties you face as comedians here in the diaspora is the lack of sponsors. Why would they prefer to sponsor musicians and not comedians? Have you tried to find out why they are very jittery as far as promoting comedians is concerned?
I haven't yet find out about that. I don't really know why they do that, which is also something good. And as you just asked that question, I think it's a good thing for me to really find out.
And when you look at what you African comedians do here in the diaspora, how would you assess it? Are you doing a great job, or so much still has to be done?
Yeah, actually, right now we are grateful for what we have been doing so far, and we thank God for everything. But we believe that with togetherness and with more hard work, the audience are going to see the best that is yet to come.
Okay, the audience will see the best that is yet to come. Rian, thank you so much for joining us. But before you go away, could you just remind our listeners of the date, the time, the venue of African Princes of Comedy, the events that is coming up?
Yeah, the day will be on Saturday, the 20th of December, and it's going to start at 7 p.m. No African time, white man time. And it's going to be in Delight Banquet Hall at 550 N Crane Highway in Glen Burnie, that is in Maryland.
Right.
Zip code 21061. It's a show that nobody want to really miss, because even people have been grabbing their ticket. I know most Africans want to come at the door, but they will drink garri at the door. But ticket will be sold at the door.
Rian, that's a beautiful way of ending this conversation. Thank you so much. We'll probably come back to you and the other comedians after the event must have taken place.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Maryland as you brace to entertain those who will bother to be at that event, African Princes of Comedy. So if you are in and around Maryland, please do make a stopover and laugh your lungs out. You need it here. Let's have some music, then we'll be right back. also who says music of the yesteryears doesn't make sense. Listen to this beautiful one by Dali Kimoko and of course Superstars. This is coming to you from Afrikkaradio, and it is only on African Cocktail that you can savor beautiful music like the one you're listening to at this moment. Don't go away.
L'homme de l'ambiance, Lucasa.
And for those of you who can appreciate the guitar instrument, this is what I call dexterity par excellence. Dali Kimoko is the master of the game.
Oh, Superstars.
In just a couple of minutes, we shall get back to our studio guests and we'll be running off with them in 18 minutes. Then we'll be back with some other things here in this edition of African Cocktail. Okay, I can imagine our resource person number one, Ken Shalimonet, nodding his head and enjoying this very beautiful music. This is music of our generation, Ken Shalimonet. We shall be getting you on the air in a short while as well. But then, they say good things never last long, and that is how we've come to the end of this very beautiful one by Dali Kimoko and Superstar. Time for us to get back to our studio guests, Josephine and Benis, who've been with us since 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Once again, ladies, you are welcome to African Cocktail number 79.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now let us find out. Being in the diaspora as African artists is definitely not very rosy. What are some of the challenges you face doing what you do here as Africans?
Well, mine would be, time, because this country, when you're doing something, everybody busy working and stuff like that, compared to, Liberia.
Right.
Because people in Africa, like especially in Liberia, don't really have jobs and stuff, so they're available to give you the time, without complaining. But here, like when I started doing my music and I needed people to back me up, like it was always a problem,
right?
Because they were busy, and then we go to the studio, they have to leave, and then making of the video, it was the same issue. So that's my problem that I'm facing right now.
Benis.
Well, actually, I don't know if I should call it problem, but I would say people just would choose what they want, and they have excuse for why they want to choose what they choose, and nothing much you can do about it. Some people would say, I'm not interested in music that sound almost American. I want music that would sound like typical African music. Right. But you are here in America, so we're combining the African beat with the American, rhythm. So far, we want to make it sound, in between, because you are here. If we go to Africa to do the recording, which is a little bit difficult to get there, you can't just leave from here, pay almost like $2,000 or more, right, to buy a plane ticket just to go and record and come back. We haven't reached that stage yet. I mean, I would love to do that, but people are just hard to please. They want to listen to the music, but they want to criticize. They want to tell you, this is not the way I want it, and some people listen to the song, they're like, I love it. I don't care what beat sound with it. The wording of the song is what I want to hear. And that makes me happy to continue doing what I'm doing.
Right. Now, Josephine, despite the time factor, which is one of the major challenges you face as African artists in the diaspora, I would want to say that you do a fantastic job. When I listen to the
Thank
music you do, the quality of it, I must attest that it's so wonderful. I've even watched some of your videos, and I must say you did a great job. So how are we going to describe this? Is it a miracle that, I mean, without having a grip of time, you are able to still do this good job?
Yes, well, I would say it's the favor of God. Like I said, this whole first album of mine is just God's favor, There were some people who actually helped me, this too by me. But like most of the people, especially my close friends, that I expected that, will put their arms around me and support me into this project. Like it was always excuse, oh, I got to work, I can make it, but it's just the favor of God.
Okay, Benis, who are some of the gospel artists you have worked with so far?
Well, I have my new recording person. They call him Tio, and also he's also a praiser at his church. But we're working on this project. I have worked with Josephine at my church. You are also one of the girls in the choir, and we just encourage each other so far.
Right.
We encourage each other so that we can keep moving on and do stuff that is of God, and that His mercy will fall upon us, that we can move forward.
Right. And Josephine, you must have had some major performances here in the United States, which you want to tell us about.
Well, after I launched my album, God is an Able God, the Women of Christ International invited me to their program. They had a dinner, and I performed. And also Sister Franca, was launching her single, and she invited me. And I traveled to Indiana where my uncle was elected as the president for the Liberian community over there, and I performed. And and I've been to a couple of places that I can't really think of right now.
And so let me find out this from you, because we're about to run off this interview. She did something on Ebola already. Do you have something in mind about that, Josephine?
Yes, I've been thinking about doing a song, concerning the Ebola situation in West Africa, especially Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone, But I'm still working and praying about it, because I don't just want to do just Ebola song, but after the song come out, I want to be able to financially, do something also to help that situation.
And so, Benis, do you have any ambitions in music? Do you want to take this music to another level?
Yes, I do. I surely want to go farther than where I'm at now.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, ladies. But you can't go without giving us something. She did, and would like you to. Let me see what I have here. I believe Mama Liberia. Which one do you want?
Well, actually, I my first song, which is also on YouTube,
YouTube,
and SoundCloud and Facebook.
What's the title of that one?
Is I'm in Love with You, Jesus.
I'm in love with you, Jesus. Okay, let's listen to it and have a taste of that beautiful one, I'll imagine.
Okay, yeah, it goes like, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with you, Jesus. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with you, Jesus. A man from Galilee, you made me fall in love. There's a story of a man from Galilee. They call him Lord of Lords. He is a King of Kings. He made the blind to see. He made me fall in love. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with you, Jesus. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with you, my Lord. A man from Galilee, You made me fall in love.
Beautiful one. There, I saw Josephine enjoying it. So this one, when was it done?
This one was done, let's say, 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. So thank you so much, Josephine. Thank you so much, Bernice, for stopping by to tell us your very interesting stories. Apart from music, singing, and writing, what else do you do?
Well, I'm a housewife, and like I said, my husband and I run a business.
Right.
You didn't ask what the name. Well, the driving school we run is called Sunny Driving Academy.
Right.
We are up on East Livingstone, 2187 East Livingstone, and it would be nice if we can have some African support.
Okay.
We have more American, but variety, few African, but it would be nice to have more African to come over.
Definitely, you will have. Okay, so you are a housewife, and when you are at home, you feel like cooking. What kind of food do you usually prepare for your husband and kids?
Well, I cook variety, cassava, palm butter, our Liberian dish. Yeah, palm butter, and sometimes if I come across potato greens, I cook it. Yeah.
Josephine, do you eat cassava leaves?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yes.
And do you find time to prepare it?
Yes.
So, do you have any role models?
Well, you're talking about like music-wise?
Music?
There's a Liberian gospel called Canvi Adams. I admire her.
We've had Canvi on this show.
Yes, I just loved her. I haven't met her in person, but I loved her and I admire her. And especially when I did my video, God is an able God. I saw like when I watched the video, like I saw some of the moves and stuff, like it reminded me of her. And the reason why she's a role model to me, because most of her music is based on herself, like her story, her past, things that she been through. It's like a testimony, and stuff. So
can we say that this is a strength with Liberian musicians, because Liberia has gone through a lot, which means that virtually everybody has a story to tell. So does that help you in music, in movies?
Yes, it does.
Okay, now Bernice, I'm about to take leave of you before we get to the next segment of the show. There is that little Liberian girl in Bon County who has been listening to us, and she'll definitely want to be like you. What can you say that can inspire this young girl, and of course Liberians living in the US? Can you just advise them?
Well, actually, if there's a little girl that is listening or that would need my advice, all I can say is be yourself, and be your encourager. Live your spiritual life, and if you are trying to do the best you can, as a Christian, if you are not, try to be. And I'm sorry.
Right.
You just live the best way you can, not to be in people's way, not to, even though you can say you can't get people angry because we are all human, but just do the right thing. Do the right thing. Listen to your parent. Obey the best way you can.
Okay.
Love the best way you can.
Okay, love the best way you can. Josephine, one last word. How did you find the show?
Well, very interesting, and I'm so happy, to be on this show. This is my second time. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. We hope that when next we invite you ladies, you will honor our invitation.
Thank you very much for
I'm going
having
to
us.
take leave of you because of other imperatives. So thank you so much for coming, and do have a fantastic rest of the day here in the city of Columbus.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Okay, let's have some music, then we'll be right back.
Production. Yo
BK, we've known her as a singer all this while, but today we're going to discover Missy BK in another capacity. She's gone humanitarian, she's gone philanthropic, and of course you're going to be discovering that side of this great up-and-coming Cameroonian artist who is based in Quebec, Canada, and we hear she's at the verge of launching a foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to African Cocktail number 79 as we now move to Canada, Quebec precisely, to say welcome to Missy BK. Missy, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and I'm really happy that you invited me over today.
So how are you, Missy?
I'm doing pretty fine, just that it's cold outside, but I'm doing okay.
Right. The last time you were on this show, we were talking music, but today it looks like we're talking some other thing.
That's right.
And I understand you are the verge of launching a foundation which will certainly be geared towards humanitarian activities. First, what is the name of that foundation, Missy?
The name of the foundation is Missy BK Foundation.
Missy BK Foundation. For how long have you nursed this plan, and what motivated you to come up with this idea, Missy?
You know, while growing up, I think my mother actually inspired me. Growing up, you know, I'm not from this rich or wealthy home, but at least we had something to eat. But I still remember back in the days, you know, the house used to be full. And even though my mom didn't have a lot to put on the table, she still managed to, you know, help others out there. Or she used to go to the village and adopt kids to help them. So sometimes I asked her, how do you do that? And she always had one answer to give to me. You don't need to have $1 million to help somebody.
Right.
You really want to help somebody, and you have a piece of bread you can share with that person. And I lived with this all my life, and along the way, I always told myself that, you know, no one should be homeless, lonely, or sad, or afraid, you know, to enjoy life. And I promised myself that whenever, you know, I start this musical career, I will try to use the benefits of it to give hope to the hopeless back in my home country. And that's how I came up with the foundation.
So what exactly is the mission of the Missy BK Foundation, and what is your vision as well?
My vision is actually to give hope to the hopeless, and my vision is to support, you know, I look at Cameroon as a rich country, you know, and every child living in Cameroon is unique and deeply inspiring with the stories that you hear from them. And having and knowing that there are so many orphans out there, and with the outbreak of HIV and AIDS, leaving so many homes and so many kids without parents, actually put me in the mood to help some of those children out there and give hope to them, because you see that they actually have the desire to go to school. They have the desire to be somebody tomorrow, but they don't have the means to become what they actually want to be. So my vision is to send them back to school and give them education. And I also have the desire to give hope to sick kids suffering from life-threatening diseases. Like, I also have the Make-A-Wish, which is to give hope, for example, if a child is sick, for example, with HIV and AIDS, or with cancer, with sickle cell, you know, those children, even though they are like dying or they're suffering from a deadly disease, it does not mean that they don't have hope or dreams or things that they wish to have, or a place where they want to live. So my goal is to give them hope and give them a chance to make one of their dreams come true.
Now,
So it's all about, you know, giving hope to the hopeless.
Right.
So
Giving
that's
hope to
the mission.
the hopeless. Missy, we're talking about a country that is so vast with over 20 million people. How are you going to sample your target group? How are you going to select these kids who are less privileged and deal with?
You know, I always tell myself that if you cannot help 100, you can at least help one person. And I don't have to focus on where I come from. I come from Com and I come from Bamenda. My vision is not to focus on Bamenda alone. I know I'm now sponsoring 5 children in Bamenda, 5 orphans. They lost both parents. And the kids are really intelligent. So when I got to know them, I thought it wise. That was after I went on my tour,
Right.
a Canadian tour for the music. So when I talked to them, I realized that, you know, I really have to do something. So after my first musical tour that I had in Canada, I used my first real pay as a musician, as an artist, to sponsor these children and send them back to school. They're all in Form 2 and they have wonderful grades. They have 18 on 20, 19 on 20, 20 on 20. They're really brilliant children. And so after this first experience, I told myself, you know, there are a lot of kids out there, not only in Bamenda, who need help, who you know, need that support. So I told myself, I will look in every province. I will look in the rural areas. You know, I don't have to focus on those that already have, because those that already have something, you know, that they're already making a living, but I'm struggling to look at the less important, those that are almost forgotten, you know, to bring out the best in them. So that's why my next spot now is Buea. I decided to focus more in Buea, and this Sunday my foundation will be organizing a Christmas party for 38 orphans down there.
Right.
And the hope is just to give back, to give them hope. You know, sometimes these children, they also have the desire to know that somebody's thinking about them. They
Now-
also have,
Right. So, Missy, this is an activity that is always carried out in the form of a project, and Missy BK as an individual can't carry on the task alone. So you definitely need sponsors and donor
no, I
organizations.
can't do it alone.
So do you have sponsors and donor organizations who are ready to work with you?
Since I just started, I'm actually like the first one sponsoring the children. That was my first bid that I did. It was alone. I actually worked to save the money to do the first project. And for this one on Sunday, I actually raised the money through my last shows as well. And then a couple of friends donated some money. They donated $200 extra to what I saved all along. So I think at the moment, since it's still starting, I'm depending more on the shows that I'll be having, because most of my shows, my musical shows, will go in for this foundation. Anything that I earned from the shows will be pushed into this kids back at home. And I'll be much more grateful if people can step in, you know, to contribute something for this cause. You know, you don't actually have to give the money to the foundation, but if you think that you yourself, you can take one child in Cameroon and make that child's life better, that will be great. And as well, we are encouraging others to join us in this movement to make Cameroon a better place.
Okay, let us go back to the events you'll be having in Buea this weekend. Do you have the local authority of that town coming in to support?
Actually, it's very difficult for me working from here back at home, because I'm trying to coordinate everything. So I found the 2 ladies that will be working with me from Cameroon. So they are working hand in hand with the orphanage in Southwest, in Buea. But at the moment, the only support that is coming is from me. So I don't think any officials in Cameroon are helping. Now, maybe it's because we did not approach them.
And
No,
if
maybe that's why, because we haven't really mobilized people to give in funds or support.
right, and if you have any appeal to such officials, what would you be telling them now?
Tell them not to focus on those that already have, but they should try to focus on those that need help the most. Because sometimes I'm realizing back at home is that the rich are getting richer and getting poorer every day. So if we can try to shift our attention a little bit, not so much, I'm not saying that we should ignore those that already have, but if we can just shift our mindset a little bit to feel a little bit what those children feel in their shoes,
Right.
We will not think twice, but we will just act, and see, because if you save one child, let's say we send one child to school, it doesn't end there. If this child goes to school and have his ordinary level, advanced level, and the child graduates, look, this child will turn back and help another person. And you see that it will be a chain. It's like a chain reaction. It's all about love, If you share a lot of love to many people, you see that the world will be a better place. There will be a lot more love in the world than hate. And if they can focus on that, that will be amazing.
Okay, now, Missy, this last question. I'm just imagining a scenario where Missy BK travels to Cameroon and visits an orphanage, within the backdrop of your activities. And like you say, you want to put a smile on the faces of these children. And one of the ways you're doing it is performing one of your songs. And this little girl comes up and says, Missy, I love what you just did. And I also want to be an artist like you. Are you going to encourage that child to become a musician?
You've just said something. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I was singing. She stepped up to me. She told me, Mama, I want to be exactly like you. I want to be a singer. That was the most difficult question, the most difficult thing for me to answer back. But I think for me to tell this child, what I can tell this child is that you can be whatever you want to be. And if you think you can reach the sky, you will reach the sky as long as you believe that you can. The thing I would encourage them to do is to focus more on school. Education is something really great. You don't only go to school to get the knowledge, but to educate yourself. And educating yourself will also help you to reach where you want to be. Even if you're a singer or a doctor or a model or whoever you want to be, you just need to believe in whatever dream you have, and it will come to pass. And I think that.
Missy BK, bien parlé. Thank you so much, Missy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we'll find time and come back to this other side of you. I think it's quite interesting, and we encourage other artists to look into this. Thank you so much, Missy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, her name is Missy BK. Missy BK, the philanthropist this time. Let's have some music now. Then we open the doors for our main topic of the day. Akim Makole is on standby. Ken Shalim Monet is on standby. Solomon Atta in South Africa is still on standby. Then we shall be talking.
Production.
Mapo, mawele
And that's the beautiful voice of Bozi Boziana in that beautiful one titled Popo. We're still in the DRC, musically speaking. Just right ahead, we shall be going to Maryland to receive Akim Makole.
Koni oyanga na yo, soki tosoni mwa moke, okangi bisaka obengi mboka baboti bayo
And so, what is the constitution as far as the film industry setting is concerned? Does it look like an ordinary constitution which an organization, an association should have? What is a production code? What is the difference between these two? Which one should be used as a governing document within a film industry setting? These and more questions which our man Akim Makole, who doubles as the diaspora representative of the Cameroon film industry, will be answering. Akim Makole is also the committee head of, or the constitutional committee head of that organization. Akim Makole now joins us of African Company at exactly 12 minutes past 12. Akim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Ernest, and good afternoon.
Now, Akim Makole, there has been a lot of talk going on within the Cameroon film industry pertaining to laws that are supposed to bind the industry and those that are supposed to guide movie production. And there seems to be a lot of confusion as far as constitution and production code are concerned. First and briefly, Akim, tell me, what is a constitution in a film industry setting, and what is a production code?
The word speaks for itself. Constitution actually, whether in the film industry or generally, it has the same definition. You understand? Constitution is a body of fundamental principles or established proceedings according to which a state or any organization acknowledged to be law. So if the film industry have a set principle which they acknowledge to be a law, it can be looked upon as their constitution. Just as production code originates from the U.S., the Motion Picture of the United States, which originally was brought on the table by Mr. Hay. You know, and the production code is another word called the Hay Code. So that is something that we are trying to, trying to adapt it in our society, which is just a set of moral that every film body would like to use. So there is no problem, I want to clarify it, there is no problem using a constitution and a production code. A production code can be formed or can be part of a constitution because it only helps to guide filmmakers and producers and distributors set morals that their film should carry.
So, can we have just one of it, like have just the constitution and forget about the production code, or have just the production code and forget about the constitution?
It's maybe I didn't actually make myself clear. For example, like I said, the production code, right, was a set of industry morals. You know, industry moral. It's like a censorship, which is, for example, you're doing a movie, a gay movie. Back in those days, you can't do gay movies. Back in those days, you can't do. There are certain movies that are not allowed. They are not popularly allowed to public audience. Which those morals can still be used in our constitution of today. So while drawing a constitution to fit a film body, we must or we should take some of those elements in production code and put in our constitution. You understand? So there's no way we can say we can deal away with the constitution and use production code.
Okay.
Production code. Constitution is every organization, every body, every government has a constitution. And it's hereby an organization, yes it is. What are the things that we can select in production code and add in our constitution? The things that are not repugnant to filmmaking, the things that are not going to take filmmaking to a lesser value. Now, you want to say we keep aside constitution and implement production code, and it's like you are forcing us to take now the production code of 1930 by Will Hay and put in place. Meanwhile, this production code has already been rejected by a good number of filmmakers and directors that have come with new way of entertaining their audience. So we cannot look upon the old production code, but there are some certain fundamental value in the production code that can still be implemented in our film body today, and it will be placed under our constitution.
Now, Akim, what I've noticed with many organizations, associations, call them whatever name you want, is that they contract legal experts to write constitutions. Oh, they simply use other constitutions that have been written as blueprint to make up theirs. But then, I know that within the film sector, filmmakers are very strict with what is their business. They wouldn't want anybody to come from outside to write what has to guide them. And that is why I'm going to find out from you who is qualified to write a constitution within the film industry and who is qualified to write a production code.
Constitution, number one, right? Like I said, it is a rule that governs our body. Now, if filmmakers have their body, right, and they're looking for something that will govern their body, so they're going to come out with a constitution. They're going to come up with set principles and set laws, set articles, and this thing can be done by legal experts, not those that are filmmakers don't translate constitution.
Right.
They do not interpret constitution. They only give the articles of the constitution, which they say it in their own layman way. You understand? They understand like, oh, thou should not. It's just like the 10 Commandments, you know, reading by biblical scholars. Now, anything that has legal value, you have legal practitioners that know legal jargons used. So that's the reason why we give what we want to legal practitioners to put our constitution in their legal jargon that can be interpreted internationally.
Right.
So filmmakers do not transcribe constitution. They write it or they bring their ideas, give it, and legal expertise will put it in the terms, in their legal jargons, just like in any field of life, we have their legal jargons or that terminology that are used.
Right.
Science, there are words that are used in biology. In law, there are words that are used in law to back legal documents. We give our constitution or our set rules and principles or bylaws to a legal body to now transcribe it, and it comes out to be a constitution, a binding body for that association.
Right. Now, Akim, I was speaking to a very renowned Cameroonian filmmaker off record some time ago, and he told me that the film industry is so specialized such that it cannot be equated to other organizations. And that when you talk about constitution, it seems like it's just an ordinary association. It's an ordinary Njangi house. Permit me use Njangi house. You are a Cameroonian, you understand what I mean. And so he said, in film circles, we talk of production code and not a constitution, which means that even what you think that you can have in that constitution can all be embedded in the production code. What do you have to say about that, Akim?
I will applaud my fellow colleague, whoever said that, but at the same time, the word constitution explains itself. Production code can find its place under the constitution of filmmakers.
Right.
Production code, by the way, like if you have to interpret it, it's a censor board, and Cameroon already has a censor board. If we are producing movies in Cameroon, trust me, the normal procedure that it's supposed to be is to go to the Ministry of Culture or Communication to get authorization to shoot a movie. And when you go to have that authorization, there are set rules that you have to follow. There are procedures that you have to follow to shoot a movie. So the government takes charge of that. A lot of people will say, okay, filmmakers have to do their constitution or their bylaws or their production code. The government has no right to do that. But the truth is that you cannot do a movie without set values that are respected or that already has been issued by the government. All we are trying to do, we are filmmakers. For example, formerly in America, those that adopted the Constitution and used to use, those that adopted the production code and used to use it are major studios like Fox and Lion and all those type of Lionsgate and all those type of things. So those were the people. So it was between producers and distributor. But if you look at the Cameroon film body, the CFI now englobes in the entire film body. Actors make about 95 of the entire CFI, percent of the entire CFI. But if you look at what are interpreted in the production code, it has more to do with producers and distributors. So where are the actors? Where are the actors?
Now, in a situation like yours, where you are going to have both the Constitution and the production code, how are you going to compromise the two?
Production code, like when the new administration came up, they asked us to look at the former Constitution of Wamosi and the production code that was suggested by Assessor and come out with something that will fit for our industry today. So when I ordered for that production code, I read it through completely again and again, and I read the Constitution, and I realized that both of them can work together. Okay? Production code does not take anything from Constitution, and Constitution is not taking anything from a production code. A production code can still be article under a Constitution. A Constitution is a global name used of set rules. A production code can always in any time, given circumstance in the film world, has its place under a constitution of a governing filmmaker association.
Now, as we speak, go ahead.
Remove the name production code, right? The code was given by Mr. Hay, and the board that used to censor it used to be Hay's office. When another person came in, it was another person's name. So it is just a set rules. So I don't see why we are into production code. It was written by an individual who says, you know what? And he was a Roman Catholic. You may not say that a Roman Catholic will have to put some certain rules, thou shall not, thou shall not, thou shall not. And that is the origination of production code. So it has really much to do with filming, location and all those type of things, the water, whatever those things. It's just a set morals. And those set morals can be interpreted in any constitution in the world. Just like a customary core law. We used to have the chief, the firm that would decide things in the country. But when the government stepped in with the constitution, they did not reject the entire law that the chief we used to do the chief we used to put in place in the village. All the government has to do is that they will select those laws that are repugnant to natural justice, to human justice, and replace with the modern law. For example, beating a woman or sending out a woman with children is not allowed in our modern society. Those were laws that in the customary court, if your wife does not satisfy you, can beat her up and throw her out like property. Those laws are not. So we replace them. We replace them with laws that favor the society. Just like in our constitution today, we look at our growing society. If those laws that were set by Roman Catholic ideology does not reflect our society today, are we supposed to just bend on it because there is a word, term, production code? We are using words to frighten people. The truth is this: every civilized society should have a constitution or bylaw. I don't care whether you put your production code under your constitution. The constitution is a supreme body that interprets any set rules. So we can always use production code under a constitution, but it cannot be the other way around.
Okay, Akim Makole is the head of the Constitutional Committee of the Cameroon Film Industry, CFI. Akim, let's find out this from you. Is this production code or the Constitution going to apply to all Cameroonian filmmakers who are spread all over the globe, or just the ones who practice this art back in Cameroon?
Now, CFI is structured in the way that the Cameroon filmmakers America out of Cameroon, if they want to be part of this Cameroon association, they have to follow the constitution of Cameroon filmmaking. It's so flexible. So it can be practiced, it can be used by everybody. And all the things will apply most particularly in Cameroon. You understand? Because when you produce a movie in America, do you want your audience, are your audience Americans or your audience Cameroonians? Most of these things will be applicable only when it comes to distributing your movie in Cameroon. You get my point?
Right.
You know, back in the days, in the early 20, when we started the film censor board in Cameroon, we used to get approval from Nigeria. Those days, if you want to shoot a movie in Cameroon or even show a movie in Cameroon in early 20s, you have to go to Nigeria to get authorization to pay 1 shilling, 2 shilling to get the censor to get authorization to shoot a movie in Cameroon, because Nigeria in those days was one of the advanced countries with filmmaking. You understand?
Right.
It was later that Cameroon now, through the Minister of Communication, Mass Communication and whatever, set a board of censorship in Cameroon, that most of those things in production code, you can find them there.
Right.
Simple. So the word production code, it is not a scary word. They are just articles. And the production code is used, it can be something that is taken from even Cameroon constitution. It can be taken in any constitution.
So why is it that it is appearing new to virtually everybody?
What is it that it is? What?
It's appearing new. It looks like it's kind of new to everybody. People are just getting to know about the production code for the first time.
We have characterized with the word production code. For example, we all believe in Hollywood, don't we? Everything that Hollywood does, we believe that, okay, since Hollywood has done this, we have to.
Right.
Think about our own culture. You know, filmmaking is all about a group of people expressing their culture, expressing themselves in their own ways. So if our culture fits us, there's we can copy Hollywood, the things that are good in Hollywood, we copy them. The things that are not good, we don't copy them. We borrow. It's not a crime to borrow. They use it appropriately. I use it when necessary. I use it well. You understand?
Right.
Production code is frightening people. This conversation should not be valuable and it shouldn't even come up. Because you are talking about two the same thing, but different names. You understand? What is a constitution? A constitution is a global name, as I've explained, to a set rules of particular administration or a body or a government. Whether production code is a constitution, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Is it not a set rules? Is it not a set rules? Is it not numbered by articles? What are those? Constitution. Any legal expert will tell you that that is the constitution. So should we just say we want to call it production code, we cannot call it constitution?
Right, because I was going to find out. You say a constitutional and a production code are one and the same thing. Then your industry is about to have the two. I was going to ask, how are you going to manage two documents? Will that not be how do I put it? I mean, an overload.
Okay, look at it in a legal standpoint. If you have a constitution, you have a production code. What are they? They are set rules, right?
Right.
They are set rules by an association or organization or a group of people thinking alike with the same philosophy.
Right.
Right? So that is it. That is it. America was born with a constitution. In the first constitution was, I think it's 17 something, 50 something or 17 something. That was the first constitution because a group of people thought alike and they decided to put something as this. So if we today, we want to say production code, we will say production code. But the same thing that is in the constitution, we'll put it in production code.
Right.
And
So
the same thing that is in the production code, we'll put it in the constitution.
So that is your take-home message, Akim Makole. We should stick to one name, right?
We should stick to one, and I think that is the problem that we are facing. For example, if we choose to call what is in the production code today, so it will benefit some people. They will be happy. But if we call it constitution, they will not be happy. But there are still the same interpretations. Get the point? For example, the things that are in the production code, we put it in our constitution, right?
Right.
And we look at it, it's going well. So but because we call it constitution, does it change the element? Does it change the element?
Akim Makole, thank you. Thank you so much.
So why should people have problems because they call it constitution?
Okay, Akim Makole will definitely follow up this story and see where it takes us to.
Code. When you talk about code, if you're a scientist, you know what code means. But these are just morals.
Right.
We call them code. But if you want to look at the definition of the code, it's not, we will go more with constitution than having the production code. We are not decoding or coding anything to be something. We are just giving a set of rules. There's no numbers, there's no numerical, it's just a set of rules. Say, you should not do movie of less quality. You should not do movie with, even in Cameroon, we don't even have PG. We don't have PG-13, PG-12, PG whatever, that's this thing.
Okay, Akim Makole, thank you so much. I'll just get one word from you as we leave. So, which way are you going? So, what name should your industry adopt? Constitution or production code? Then we end the conversation for today.
We will adopt constitution in the sense that the constitution also has a framework for an administrative body to manage the film, the CFI of Cameroon.
Okay, thank you so much, Akim Makole, who says constitution is it. That is the way the industry should go. And to him, constitution and production code, they are all the same thing. Akim Makole, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we hope to have you again some other time. Let's have some music, then we'll brace to move to Minnesota and have the views of Kenneth Ngamne. And after Kenneth, we shall run off with Solomon Atta in South Africa.
Production. Nani alakisa yo boye mama, soki o change te moninga, okosilisa bandako.
So that's how we've been moving on with African Cocktail number 79. Beautiful music and of course beautiful discussion. We had Josephine and Benny's who were guests in this episode of the show. And of course, just right ahead we shall be moving to Minnesota to meet Kenneth Ngamne, call him Ken Shalimone. But then before he comes on, Popo is by Bozi Bozana. Meantime, I want to send end of year wishes to all African Cocktail listeners in West Africa. I'm thinking of those listening to us in Lome, Togo. I'm thinking of our friends in Dakar, Senegal. What about you listening to us in Freetown, Sierra Leone? And of course you in Abuja, Nigeria. A happy end of year to all the orphans in Africa. Missy BK and her foundation are ready to touch some lives and bring hope to this less privileged. But then the way forward is right here. And of course, there is light at the end of the tunnel. African Cocktail coming through from Afrikkaradio with Ernest Kanjo. Bozi Boziana Popo.
Mena la
belle chanson de Bozi Boziana dédiée à tous mes amis de la DRC. I'm thinking of our listeners in Kinshasa. And of course, Bukavu, we are still in the DRC in that beautiful Sugos piece titled Popo. This is African Cocktail number 79 coming to you this day, December the 17th, 2014. Okay, this is African Cocktail number 79. Time for us to move on to Minnesota, where our resource person number 1, Ken Shalemonek, is already online. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, my bosom friend, Mr. Ernest, and definitely always a pleasure, a resource person.
So, how is it today, Ken?
Well, so far so good. I mean, you can imagine we have some very beautiful weather today. I mean, it's kind of chilly, but we have sunshine outside, so it's strange for us, but we're taking it.
Right. So, Ken, I would like you to react to two things on the show. The first is Cameroon's dreams of winning the Miss World contest for the first time that were dashed last week when Larissa Ngangum was eliminated in the first phase of the contest that took place in the United Kingdom. First, as a Cameroonian, Kenneth, how did that make you feel?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ernest. And to answer that question, I will use these few words. Beginnings are apt to be shadowy, but it shouldn't make us derail. You know, I want to first of all tell her that she's a winner.
Right.
Just the fact that she was nominated for that. And if she did not carry the trophy, she should know that she is a winner and she's not different from any other person who carried the trophy. It's just like you go for a soccer game finals. Two teams are playing, one must win. But it doesn't mean that the winning team is far much more better than the other. It's just that for that same day, that winning team played better. So all I want to tell her is that Ensemo continue. This is a point where she should know that she needs to go back, check her exits, check what went wrong, work much more on it, work better, brand herself again much more better, and go back for it. And definitely one day, someday, she will get that trophy and she will bring it back to Cameroon for our honor.
Now, Ken, just like we are living in a society of variance in opinion, there are people who are making a controversy out of this thing. They say it was obvious she was going to lose because she did not deserve to be Miss Cameroon in the first place.
Well, I don't understand the criteria. I don't understand why these people are making this comment. I did not really follow up what was going on with that specific nomination and process and everything. But if these people are judging out of bias, then I will not be happy about it. I want them to judge out of merit. And if they say she did not merit being on it, I don't understand. What do they mean by she does not merit being on it? If she's there, it's because she merits it, and I will tell her that she should keep on, and everything will be cool.
Now, it is a South African who won this contest. Does that mean that this trophy could be close to Cameroon if an African is already winning it?
I mean, the point is that it doesn't matter who wins the trophy. Being it from South Africa, being it from Asia, being it from Europe, being it from America, anywhere. It doesn't mean that it is because a South African won that it is coming closer to Africa. No. It can still leave Africa today and go back all the way to Europe or Australia. So it doesn't matter. What is much more important is this self-confidence, the confidence that we have for ourselves, and for the fact that we Africans are proving on the contrary to the way a lot of people judge us, to the way a lot of people see us, to the way a lot of people perceive us. So for me, it's not because it is in South Africa today that it is coming, that it means the next person will be another African. No. The point is that for me, it is just proving that, like Tino Achebe said, the world is like a mask dancing, and to see the dancing well, you cannot stand on the same spot. So we are not standing on the same spot, and we are dancing with the well, and we are getting closer.
To see the dancing well, you cannot stand on the same spot. All right, Kenneth, let us move on to some other hot topic, the one which I've been discussing with Akim Macaulay. Now, there's been this talk about the Constitution and the production code. I don't want us to get into definitions anymore. We had a lot of education on that from Akim Macaulay. First thing, what do you make of this confusion that is going on between a Constitution and a production code?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ernest, and I followed up that conversation with you and Akim very gladly. And I will say this. There's a saying, when you are happy, you enjoy the music. When you're sad, you understand the lyrics. I'm saying this because right now that I'm sitting here, I'm extremely happy. So I'm enjoying the music. Because the reason why I'm happy is because I believe in knowledge. Knowledge is power. And when I listen to Akim Macaulay speak, I listen to somebody who has a knowledge of what he is talking about. Somebody who knows what he is talking. He's not talking for the sake of talking. He's talking because he knows, because he has the knowledge, because he makes his research. And when he made his allusion to Hayes, I was extremely proud. Tells me who he is. And definitely that's who he is in Cameroon movie industry. And that is the reason why he is the head of that team. Work to draw the constitution that guides the Cameroon movie industry. Now, based on all that, I don't want people to be going to things that it doesn't really matter to them, it's not necessary to them. I can make a very pertinent comment, a very, very pertinent and important comment. And what he said is that, one thing he said is that we all believe in Hollywood for everything they do well. I don't believe in everything that Hollywood does. I take what they do that is good, which I appreciate.
Right.
And I criticize what I have to criticize. But he made a comment that we should learn to express our culture. Extremely great. Forget about this issue of production code. It's not our culture. When Hayes brought this issue in the 1930s, just like Akim said, this guy is a Catholic, and he was too religious. And you know, in those days, how ethical people were looking at stuff. These were just some certain rules and guidelines that totally deprive us from the production of movie. If you look at the 21st century today, and you go back to those production codes that he put forward, if you look at everything, you will not be able to do movie in the 21st century today. So those are all some guidelines that he brought forward. And just like he said, I can see a production code like a subset, like something that you can put into a constitution, but you can never, ever compromise a constitution for a production code. I don't even believe in anything about the production code. I believe in the constitution.
Now Ken, the person with whom I spoke to some time ago and who told me about the production code said that to get to international standards and be recognized, there are certain things we have to learn from the #1 film industry, which is Hollywood. He wasn't saying that he doesn't buy the idea of promoting our own culture, but he said there are things which we cannot just do bypassing Hollywood because Hollywood is like a model. And so he said, if we call it a constitution, then we're making ourselves a laughing stock. So in the film industry, they talk of a production code. What do you have to say about that?
I'll tell you this. I would disagree completely with him. I look at Hollywood as a role model, yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that Hollywood is doing is correct.
Right.
No. And if I have to go by the production code, which were introduced by Hayes for the motion pictures in Hollywood, I'll look at a lot of things there. And if you go through that specific code, you will see a lot of things that does not entail today in the entire moving world. Look, it is obvious. We have our culture, we have our upbringing, we have our way of living. African culture, like the saying goes, like Chief Damba said in Eneshin's Hall, this is our chance. It is the air on which we breathe and the air which we live. We have our secrecy and we know the way we uphold everything that has to do with our tradition. Today, we are Christianized, yes, but if you have to look at it critically, Christianity is not our culture. It was brought over to us. And we decided to take it, we embraced it, and we made it our culture. We are living with it. So if I want to look at the whole situation, I believe in Hollywood, yes, but I don't think that Hollywood has to set the guidelines and the rules that has to govern the production of movie in Cameroon? No, I will not, because Hollywood's culture is quite different from African culture, from Cameroonian culture. Cameroon is a country with more than 260 ethnic tribes, and each of those tribes have their culture and they have their set of rules. But I believe that a constitution is that legal document that binds our Cameroon film industry. And I know that we can look into the production codes which was provided in the 30s by this guy and try to see what we can pick out of it and bring into our constitution. But there is no way I will ever compromise the constitution to a production code.
Right.
Never in the history of mankind.
Right, Ken, let's get into the crux of the matter as we run off this discussion. There is a pending constitution in your film industry, the one on which Akim and his team are working on, and there is a production code which someone also crafted. What is going to happen? What are you suggesting that should be done with these two documents concretely?
My simple suggestion is this. If the person has anything with production code, we can look into it, but it doesn't really matter much to me. Production codes, these are just, like I said, they are mere ethical rules that were set by this guy. And this guy was setting these rules based on his religious belief. This guy is a Catholic. For example, if you go into the production code that this guy set up, if you look at the way he presented the issue that has to do with religion and every other thing, costuming and the use of sex, please don't mind my language, obscenity, profanity, all those things, he was very, very strict on them. It is just like, for example, if you go into his code, if we are playing him in the 21st century today, in the 30s, if you are playing a movie and you are using a priest in that movie, there is no way you will present that piece in any jeopardizing manner, in any way that will have anything to tarnish the Catholic reputation. For example, in the Catholic Church, priests don't get married. During those days, during that year, you cannot do a movie and present a priest there as somebody who has gotten married to a lady. But today we are free to do it because this is the 21st century and we are moving with the culture. Like I said, the world is like a mask dancing. Every single day things changes. Technology has changed. Everything has changed. Things has moved. We have moved from still pictures to videos and from DVDs to CDs. And today, in the click of a button, you can do everything that has to do with movie. So things has changed. Things has moved. Yes, so far, those were the bylaws, those were the production codes and stuff. But again, I don't think that it's something that we have to use to compromise because, like I said, for me, when I go through everything that what he's saying, he has some good guidelines, he has some good ethics based on what he's saying, but it has nothing. I don't see anything there that has to do with my culture. And I don't think I have to compromise my culture because I want to adopt the Hollywood culture, saying that Hollywood is the master of the world when it comes to movie. No. Yes, they are. They do their movies. I take the good things, but again, they cannot ever try to make me compromise my culture for their culture. So I still stand on the fact that a production code can be something that we can use, take out what it is, and then use it, add into our constitution. But we only take what we know that has to benefit us.
So your point is CFI should go by a constitution.
Period. Constitution. Okay. There's nothing about a production code.
Ken, thank you.
We should not confuse ourselves. We should not mess our culture. We should not be stumbling our brains on things that are not necessary. We can study them for the sake of studying, for the sake of knowledge. Knowledge is power, knowledge is key, but it should end at that level. CFI is a constitution code, is a constitution, nothing that has to do with production code.
Okay, thank you so much, Ken, and we hope to come back to this topic as things evolve.
Thank you very much, and it's always a pleasure as resource person number one.
Resource person number one, Ken Shali Monet, running off his own contribution there. Let's have some music. Then, if Solomon Atta is with us, we have him. Then we say bye bye. And we are going to welcome Ken, not Ken, but Solomon Atta. With this beautiful one by Lucien Bokilo. We are back with the artist. We had him at the start of the show. Beautiful Soukous music there coming to you from Afrikkaradio. And of course, the show is African Cocktail. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to run off this very special edition. And of course, we say happy Xmas in advance. Happy New Year in advance to our friends of this show who listen to it every Wednesday on Afrikkaradio.
Aziza bayuma bakoti banyongo bateki mapango bavoiture na bango obasala yo bakado wana bazwa motema na yo Aziza yebisa bango kolinga moto ezali eloko ya likosa te semakila elingana aziye Aziza tia bango batanga bible wana bayeba tinanga na yo tolingani bazali kolangwa bangi mpe bazali kokosa na liboma nsima babongola molimo na yo Aziza lobela bango kimbuni ya kala soki epasuki bakoki kobamba na etendi ya kala te mwana bango tokeseni nivo mosusu aziye
That one is titled Aziza by Lucien Bokilo. In just a couple of minutes, we shall be saying bye-bye here on Afrikkaradio. Okay, time for me to start voting thanks as we prepare to bid bye in this episode of African Cocktail. First, I want to say thank you so much, Josephine Schilling, and of course, Bernice Nyama Brian. They were my studio guests, and they did a fantastic job in this episode of the show. So, to you ladies, I want to say thank you, and may God bless you. Hey, thank you to you, Rian Atem. I call him Syrian. He was here to talk about the African Princes of Comedy show that takes place this weekend in Maryland. So if you are in Maryland and its environs, just join him and laugh out your lungs this Saturday. Thank you so much, Sir Victor VU, producer director of Nina's Diary. He joined us in this edition to talk about the latest recognition that movie has had. And of course, it was a fantastic time with Victor. Thank you so much, sir.
Cette drôlesse de Ramsès m'a fait coucou sans me donner son adresse. Avec ses mots doux d'infinie caresse, a brisé mon pauvre cœur de jeunesse.
Then the very committed, visionary, and of course hard-working Missy BK was here to tell us about the Missy BK Foundation that is at the verge of being launched. And of course, she also told us about a Christmas party she will be organizing in honor of some 38 orphans out there in the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya in Cameroon. Thank you so much, Missy, not just for taking part in this episode of African Cocktail, but for thinking about the less privileged out there. May God bless you. Thank you so much.
À bicyclette, je suis tombé dans les oubliettes. La petite Miss aux yeux bleus est une princesse du lac bleu.
Then resource person number one, Ken Shali Monet, also had his voice heard on our main topic of the day, and of course he also gave his views on Miss Cameroon and her recent Miss World ordeal. Thank you so much, Ken. We hope to have you again probably next week. Hey, the man himself, Adzik Maxwell, was there monitoring from the SNN of this world. And of course, Maxwell has been the man behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Mr. Producer. Do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Essen, Germany. I caught you coffee. That's what my very good friend Prince Oro of Pom Radio would say. And to him, I want to say good evening out there in the UK. And I hope you're having a nice time. Okay, we also had friends of African Cocktail listening to the program religiously. Kanyang Kwai was listening to us from Cameroon. We also had Takon Delvis in Bamenda, Cameroon. Marine Dakwe was listening to us from Minnesota. Paul Funyi Nyamyele listening to the show from Limbe, Cameroon. Good afternoon, Julia Elngam. She's in Chicago. I'm also thinking of you, Ngumgafo, in the UK. What about you, Valentine or Valerie Atia, who is holidaying in Limbe, Cameroon? I'm also thinking of you, Emmanuel of the graphic studio here in the city of Columbus. Good morning to you, resource person Suleiman Koyate. I'm also thinking of you, Dulafe Valerie Tata. He's also a friend of African Cocktail. And to you, Takam Bisong, I want to say good afternoon.
Cocktail Mabudu. Yokamai.
And so that's all we gathered for you in this episode of African Cocktail. We are about to leave now. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, good people. This is the end of African Cocktail. It was a fantastic episode of this show. Thanks very much to everyone who took part. And it is at this point that we put a full stop to this 79th episode of African Cocktail. That came to you this day, Wednesday, December the 17th, 2014. A big and dynamic team as usual that kept you company today. African Speaking Manager Suzanne A.A. Belgium correspondent Titus Banyo, Germany correspondent Maxel Ajiku, double as producer of the show, Central African correspondent Ifana Kwala, whom we missed today, but she's been on set shooting a movie. She will definitely be talking about that movie in our next episode of this show. African Tele Review, Crystal Beauty, then resource person number 1, Ken Shalim Monet, resource person number 2, Solomon Koyate, resource person number 3, Matthew Ayon, content critic, The White Book, production collaboration, Crystal Beauty, African Cocktail Online Banner, Ajik Maxwell, Bo Boateng. Main guests in this episode of the show, Josephine Schilling, Bernice Bryant Nyama. We also had Victor VU as guests in this episode of the show. Akim McConnell spoke from Maryland. We also had Rian, who also spoke from Maryland. Collaboration, Gentle, Awal Muhammad, DJ Cash, Mayo Makinde Seran, KK. Then continuation, Nana Ampem Davis Ode Neho Apia. My name is Ernest Kanjo, regular host of the show, asking you to join me again next week for yet another vibrant edition of African Cocktail. And until we meet next Wednesday, it is bye bye, ciao, au revoir, merci, see you, I'm gone. To God be the glory.
Je vais mourir pour vous. Autant de nos ancêtres, il y avait la paix en Afrique. Autant de nos aïeux, il y avait la paix. Autant de nos ancêtres, il y avait la paix en Afrique. Autant de nos aïeux, il y avait la paix. 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 Il y avait la paix.